Hey there, entrepreneurs. My name is Sushant, and welcome to TrepTalks. This is the show where I interview successful e-commerce entrepreneurs, business executives, and thought leaders, and ask them questions about their business story, and also dive deep into some of the strategies and tactics that they have used to start and grow their businesses. And today, I'm really excited to welcome Kayla Hutchinson to the show. Kayla is a self-proclaimed paper nerd and the founder of Lucky Dog Design Company. Lucky Dog Design Company is a stationery shop that specializes in colorful greeting cards, stickers, notepads, art prints, and desk calendars that inspire and connect humans. And today I'm going to ask Kayla a few questions about her entrepreneurial journey and some of the strategies and tactics that she has used to start and grow her business. So Kayla, thank you so much for joining me today at Trep Talks. Really, really appreciate your time.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here and get into detail.
So, we were just chatting and you were telling me that you had a very interesting, you have a very interesting background and some of the things that you've done in the past, including, hula hoop girl and also being a reporter. So maybe that's where we should start. Can you share a little bit about your background and how did you get into entrepreneurship? And is this your first business or have you done like other businesses in the past as well?
Yes. So fun fact is I don't think my business was started. I started it 6.5 years ago, but I don't think it was started then. I have been hand making paper with pulp and lint and sending cards since I was 2 years old. So I like to think that even though this happened 6.5 years ago, I'm still it's been in my blood forever. Like this is something that's ingrained with me. But I did own a business before that for 8 years, and it was a custom event stationery business. So that's where my previous background into the paper world came in. But before that, I was also a newspaper reporter for various daily papers across the Midwest, East Coast of the United States. And I've had a lot of fun with that and a lot of really crazy stories to tell, but paper's kind of always been in my blood, I guess. That's just how it is. And yeah.
Awesome. So do you consider yourself more like a creative kind of a person who is just using business as an outlet to share her creativity with the bigger world?
Oh, yes, I do consider myself a very creative person. I dabble in so many creative things. I embroider, I hula hoop, dance. I love to, I'm getting into calligraphy, which is fun. And of course, within the paper world, I do a lot of digital illustrations and all of that. I like to keep myself busy with creative stuff. I like to have outlets. I love to garden. I am always creating in some facet. I think my husband thinks I'm going a little crazy all the time, but I just like to keep busy with fun things.
And I mean, it's also very interesting that even right now, I believe you have a full-time job, as you were saying. You're a manager for a startup. Um, so do you really consider your e-commerce business kind of like a side project or um, a way to use your creativity, or is this really you started this because this was going to be like a source of additional income for you? What was the motivation behind behind your all your business projects in the past and this one as well?
Yeah, I started business, like I started my event stationery business as it being kind of a side hustle. Um, there are a lot of in-person, like there's a lot of points in event stationery where you're not really creating in the way that you want to, you're creating for someone else. So when I started designing cards digitally, it was more about me and what I wanted to design. And it was so freeing to actually be able to put my thoughts and everything I'm thinking onto stationery. But I do not consider Lucky Dog a side hustle. I am full force in it. I have 2 employees as well, and we're building a business. It does go at a slower pace than a lot of people who are able to dedicate full time to it. But I end up putting like full-time hours in anyway. I work almost every night. I do take Fridays off no matter what, and I typically work on the weekends. So yeah, I do consider it.
I mean, the reason I was asking that is because for a lot of entrepreneurs, the reason they start side hustle or they start a business is because they have this inherent desire for freedom, right? A lot of the entrepreneurs are driven by freedom and the ability to be able to control their own time. And for you, is it, you said that this is a very serious project for you, you are spending a lot of time. Is the goal for you also as an entrepreneur that maybe 2-3 years down the road, or maybe even sooner, you would be able to kind of go on your own and your business is going to be like your main thing? Or for you, do you continue to want to do like a full-time job because that gives you some that meets some other need for you?
Yeah, I do want this to be full-time at some point. Full transparency, and this is a side I'm happy to talk more about, but years ago I went full-time with my event stationery business. I had all of my funds. I had regular income coming in, predictable income for a long time, and I went all in. I decided to quit my job and go into working full-time for myself, and I failed miserably. I didn't have the structure that I needed to go in every day and continue to build it with so much time. I just had all this time and didn't know how to use it well. I was so focused on how much income I was bringing that it just completely took away any passion I had for what I was doing. And it destroyed me. I burnt out completely. I didn't create anything for 2 years straight, like no designs, nothing. I stopped. And I honestly learned so much from that, digging myself out of that hole of just not knowing what my true passion was, like feeling like I was at the bottom depths of this hole of depression essentially from this. And so I'm not eager to go full time. Like I will take my time. I love the stability of having that full-time job there. I love the benefits. I love also having this other creative outlet. I do email marketing for a living. I get to go and I get to write and I get to just put another creative outlet essentially out there. And it helps me manage all of that as well. So while I do hope that Lucky Dog, and that's what I'm working towards, goes full time at some point, I am patient with it. I am taking it with whatever time I have, and it allows me to really grow in a strategic way. Like I don't need to put all of this time into social media. I know what actually moves the needle, and I can kind of strategize and use my time wisely, the time that I do have.
No, I think that's I think every business owner, every entrepreneur has their own goals of what their business, what they want their business to be and how much time they want to spend in it, and things like that. But one thing that comes to mind is that a lot of entrepreneurs, because to me it seems like you're more of a creative person, they in this kind of situation, they kind of want to complement their skill set by finding like a co-founder who's more of a business person, who's doing like that day-to-day operations kind of a thing, and let the creative person do the creative work, create the products. And I think that kind of synergy helps balances the yin and the yang, and helps the project move forward. So have you ever thought about like kind of finding a co-founder? I don't know if in your team do you have more people who are taking over more of the business responsibilities and so forth?
I don't have a co-founder. I do have 2 employees. I have a chief technology officer who kind of takes all of that burden off of having to set up all of my systems. Like that's something I don't have to worry about at all, which is really nice. And then I have a wholesale manager who researches shops that would be a good fit, does outreach for me, manages all of that communication and building rapport with all of these shops and stuff like that. So I don't think I necessarily need a co-founder in this scenario. But I do, and I love the business side of things too, I should say. But I do strategically have the right people on my side, the right people working with me to build business, people who are passionate about it just as much as I am, and who are in the right places to help me. So like my wholesale manager, I was finding I was my own bottleneck. I had to research. I had to find shops. I had to reach out to them. I had to remind myself to reach back out to them, and then also nurture all of my existing customers that I do have. And through all of that, there was a lot that was getting mixed because I also had every other part of my business to work on. So I knew that I was my own bottleneck there, which is why I hired in that way too.
You talk a little bit, which I guess maybe you're a topic that you probably are closer to or maybe like to talk about, your products. So you have a few different product categories. You have greeting cards, stickers, you have some desk and office related products, some gift related products. Can you talk a little bit about your product selection? How did you, like, where did you get started? And is the reasoning behind adding more categories or product selection is really that the more products that you have, the more selection people have to choose from, and so that really helps to drive the revenue?
Yes, so I started out with just greeting cards. That is my bread and butter. The greeting card market from a retail perspective is really interesting. And I started it off as a subscription box. I did a Kickstarter and launched that, and it went really well. And it was just thank you cards. I found myself that creatively I was outgrowing it. And then also my customers were asking for like birthday cards and like all of these different types of cards. And so I started adding those to my site, removed the subscription box because I found just people wanted to pick their own cards. And then I moved into stickers. And the reason why I moved into stickers was because I saw this huge market. Everyone was talking about stickers. Everyone was doing things with stickers. Stickers were these super cheap, easy way to buy something. If you're at a market and you're buying from someone and you're like, I don't really have the money for all of these other things, a sticker is $3 to $5. Like you can support a shop with not that much. And that exploded my business. Just adding stickers alone gave me this entire other market of people who just don't frankly care about greeting cards. And from there, I expanded to things that I loved, that I saw a need for. So notepads, having notepads that actually are undated or have a certain sentiment to it. I do have quite a bit of snarky, and so people really relate to having that snarkiness on their desk, whether they go into a physical office or not. And they just like to see their personality reflected on their desk. So that's a whole other market of people. So I've played around a lot with different products. I try to stick more with paper, but over the years, I've tried a lot of different things. I've tried mugs, I've tried totes, I've tried shirts, I've tried hats. I've tried so many things, and a lot of them failed, and that's okay. But I have the ability to kind of test different things, and especially with paper. I make my own paper. My own paper products. I have a commercial grade design focused printer. Or should I say like graphics, photo specific printer. I have everything that I need here that I can test and experiment with everything. I just launched gift tags earlier this year, and they're going crazy. It's just something that people wanted, that just have this little thing that is something you typically forget about when you're doing gifts and sending gifts. And So it's a lot of testing and sometimes failing, which is totally okay.
That's so interesting that you are kind of building your own products, and that brings me to my next question. So you are, of course, the design person, so you can create your own designs easily. And I think these days, kind of designing has been a little bit more democratized as well with the whole AI thing, and also the tools that something like Canva provides you. It really gives people the ability to create different kind of designs very easily and things like that. But then to make that design into a paper product, you're saying that you can print it, but then do you also do like binding and all these different things as well, or is that something and is that really a cost-effective way of doing these things?
Yeah, so that is a really good question. I do all of the work myself. I am at this point a small shop. I am in just over 50 stores across North America. And my business is awesome. It's doing great, but I have the ability to make everything myself. I am very particular about what I use. My paper comes from a very specific paper mill that is using completely recycled products, and it is 100% windmill powered, the entire factory. So I haven't been able, like for some things, I haven't been able to find somewhere where I'm comfortable sending my designs to be manufactured. However, I'm a maker at heart, so it doesn't hurt at all. Like I would rather, until my hands are bleeding from putting things together, or I find that I am my own bottleneck, like with the wholesale manager, I will proactively look more for those sources and find a printer. But I'm very picky about it. It is a lot more work. I am also in my own studio space and it's not that big. So I have different ways that I have worked to get everything in such a small space, which is another reason why mugs didn't work, for instance. But yeah, I love making. I don't want to stop making, and I will continue to make products until it's the one thing that's keeping me back. So I can make products really fast. I'm really good at it. I would rather hire people to help me make than potentially send to source out to.
Yeah. If somebody was creating similar products, let's say, would it be so one thing that you said, you're using a very specific kind of paper, and maybe that's because you are sustainability conscious and things like that. Are you buying that paper within United States? And could you have gone to some sort of a Asian country, China or India or Vietnam somewhere, and could your business model look something like where you're doing the design, you're creating prototypes at your place, maybe you're creating some of those items, testing it out to see what sells, what doesn't sell, and then once you have kind of validated the idea or the product, then you kind of send it to mass manufacturing, and somewhere where you're saving time because you're not doing it yourself every day, and you're getting maybe even the cost is less of producing it. Like is that a because you are a creator and you like creating yourself, of course you're doing it, but if somebody else was doing, like, would that be a feasible way of running this kind of a business?
To a degree, yes. There are a lot of things that you can realistically get from overseas manufacturing. Notebooks, planners, notepads, any like gift items would be good. The one thing that doesn't really work well is greeting cards, especially depending on what kind of greeting card maker you are. If you do pop culture, you'll find that you'll sell a ton of one card in a few months, and then it dies off and you're done. And you have to be really quick on reacting and creating based off of that. There are a ton of US manufacturers for greeting cards too. So I think it's pretty common to use a US manufacturer for US based companies because it's just easier to get things. You don't have as much shipping timeline there. You can really react to what's going on in the world and like I'm already designing, for instance, I'm already designing greeting cards for Christmas and all of the winter holidays in March. I'm designing them in March. And it's still 9 months away. And that's just with manufacturing them myself, because these big companies like Target, Anthropologie, Paper Source, they're buying in May. Okay. So you have to have it done way earlier. So and you still want it to be on topic and on, and kind of focused on what your specialty is within the greeting card space. So I do think there is a lot that can be done overseas. I've actually gotten quotes for some of my notebooks to be done overseas, and it's awesome. Like it's so notebooks are fairly new for me. So I've been making them, I've been producing them, but if they explode even more, if it's something that people want to see and I'm testing it out, then I am definitely going to be going with overseas manufacturing. The cost is so low. You can find a really good person to work with and to communicate with, and it's not as scary as people think it is. And at least in the product base, it's just like, oh no, I don't know what to do. I can't actually go in and see the product, and it's so much product. Is this even going to work? But you can work with the right people and get it produced, and I will absolutely be looking at that in the future if notebooks take off. Yeah.
Awesome. Can you talk about your sales channel? So of course you have your website. Do you sell on some marketplaces like Etsy, Amazon, others? And you mentioned some of the retail like department stores, kind of Target and others. Are you in some of those department stores?
Not in any department stores, no. I will continue to try every week to try to get into department stores. That is a continuous goal of mine. However, I sell, of course, on Etsy. I feel like as a maker, you should. I've been on Etsy since 2011, I want to say. So it's working well for me. I don't have to do much. It just, people already, like the SEO has built over there. So Etsy just makes sense. I have my own website. I tried Amazon, and Amazon is not a good option for me. It's a whole other fail story. Okay. But after many hours, realizing Amazon's not for me. However, I am on places like Fair and Handshake, which are both for wholesale marketplaces. And then of course, in a little over 50 shops around North America. I think 2 in Canada and the rest in the United States. Okay.
One idea that comes to mind is, of course, you said that you are always trying to get into these department stores. I'm assuming that if you can get into one of those, that probably gives you a little bit more exposure to mass market, more volume, I guess. But with your skills of designing or coming up with these newer designs every year for Christmas, for Father's Day, Mother's Day, Thanksgiving, whatever it is, can you sell your designs to some of these bigger greeting companies? Is that something that you ever tried? And is that something that they're open to getting from, like, outside creative people?
Yes, licensing is huge in the greeting card world because, for instance, a company like American Greetings, they do not make all of their cards. They license a bunch of them from different makers. And what that does is, or different designers, and what that does is it allows them to use their paper, their style of printing, their manufacturers. So it is pretty big, and definitely something I have been looking at when I do reach out to these department stores and big companies. That is something I always mention, especially if that's a part of their core like business plan and business model is licensing from different designers. So yeah, I've also looked into licensing for a lot of different things. If I can design, if I can draw, why not? But I'm more slow to that because a lot of my time is spent with designing my own products and running my business and gathering new shops and bringing more people into the lucky dog world. So it's definitely on the radar, but I have not done that yet.
Okay. I want to talk more about marketplaces because that's very interesting, especially for this kind of a product. So you said that Etsy works really well for you, and then Amazon did not work, and that was kind of like a story. Is Etsy your biggest sales channel? Like, does Etsy perform better for you than your own website?
It
And
does.
and but I'm assuming that Etsy probably has many other creators like yourself who are selling similar kind of products. And even with, the kind of traffic that Etsy gets and, the SEO capabilities and things like that, how does a person who is kind of looking or browsing around greetings, that they're looking to send for Christmas, how do you have any pull besides just your design to make one person buy your product rather than a competitor's product? So can you talk a little bit about Etsy and what is the recipe to getting on Etsy and succeeding on Etsy?
Yeah. Yeah, Etsy is such a high performer for me year after year. It's just it's what brings in the big bucks, I should say. It does perform better than my website. However, my website performs wonderfully. I have a SEO who does help me with all of the work that I have there. But Etsy is a unique beast. It is so finicky because you need great product photos. If you don't have great product photos that clearly show what you're selling, it's going to go terribly unless you have this just super unique product that someone wants to get no matter what it looks like in a photo. It just won't do well without a good product photo. So that's the first thing. Second is reviews. It's like a catch-22. You kind of need reviews to get orders, but you need orders to get reviews. So how do you do this? Last time I checked, I have I don't want to misspeak, it's in the 30s, 30%-ish review conversion rate. So 30% of the people who buy a product from me leave a review, and it's all because of everything that I put into their package, what I ask them, what I share my story on my packaging. I talk about how much the reviews really help others find my shop if they love their experience as well. So that's another big one is really, you don't have very many returning customers on Etsy. If it's just from the marketplace, if it's just people searching for things. However, if you play that right, you can build up that customer rapport on there. I have people who have been buying book cards from me on Etsy for 5 years now. They just come to me every few months and they're buying bulk cards. So you really can build a rapport if you do it the right way. Another big one is SEO. There are awesome tools out there that you can use to understand what search volume each keyword has so that you can put keywords in your title. So Etsy is a little different from most like e-commerce marketplaces where like the thing to do is stuff your title with keywords. So you put what it is up front, and then you just add in afterwards what else it is. So I can pull up a few examples so I can reference it well, but it's really about knowing what people are searching for. Another way you can do that without those tools is using the search bar, like starting to type in something and seeing what pops up first. So I would say keywords, great product photos, key, absolutely key, and reviews. How are you asking people for a review when they buy your product? Is the experience good enough for them to decide to go leave a review? It's hard to get someone to leave a review. It takes time out of their day. They're busy. So how do you nurture them to do that?
I mean, I assume one challenge with the marketplace is that if somebody buys a product from you, you don't get their email address. The Etsy keeps their email address or contact information, right? So I think the thing that you shared about the unboxing experience, or what they receive when they unbox the product, have you ever tried or tested something like offering them like a free download, or some like a free sticker package or something like that, so they come on your website and they actually have to check it out on your website, so you get their information and then you can market to them? Have you tried anything like that?
Every single order, yes.
Okay.
Everyone who orders from me gets a coupon for 15% off in my shop. It's a QR code. I also have the link there, but it sends them right to sign up for my list, in which they get 15% off. And that is pretty decent. I've heard from others who have Etsy shops that this doesn't really work really well, but I really think it's about how you're asking them, how you're bringing this information to them. Another huge driver for just eyeballs outside of Etsy is asking them to share and tag me on Instagram when they get their orders. So I get like unboxing videos, TikTok unboxing videos, like everything you could imagine. And they get a code, they get a 15% off code as well for sharing. And so they follow me. The people that follow them sometimes follow me. So it's really about giving them, like, knowing what they want, just understanding who your audience is and what they care about. If it's Etsy, it's typically they're looking for a handmade item. That's Etsy's bottom line. That's their driver to keep going. Arguments out on whether everything is handmade, but that is the reason why Etsy exists. So you have to imagine that these people really want to have these unique and small shop kind of, like, just that kind of captivating, I guess, vibe of a sort, of just working with a small shop that's hand making this item for them. So if you can capture that in what you're sending, you can get them beyond Etsy as well.
Awesome. I'm just looking on your website. I mean, your cards are quite, I would say, I mean, they're pretty reasonably priced, like $8 is pretty reasonable. I think in Canada, most cards, like if you go to buy it in a general store, are somewhere, $8, $10, maybe more, like $12, $14. So I would say, I mean, given that you're doing everything yourself, your pricing is pretty reasonable. Now, you did mention that photographs are really important, and I'm assuming, given that you do everything in-house, you're creating the photographs. I mean, do you have like a little photo studio that you use to take your own photographs? How do you create like really great photographs that you say are absolutely essential for selling on Etsy or on your website?
Yeah, that was my greatest nemesis like 3 years ago. And I'm constantly learning. So I have hired people in the past to take more lifestyle shots for me. So some of my photos are from that, like some of my best sellers I send off to be photographed, and I hire someone who can really capture that, capture the color and the vibrancy. But otherwise, it's just me. I have a little studio down in my basement, and I have lights set up, and I have taken courses and practiced and realized that my pictures were crap and then tried it again. So it does take a lot of especially for someone like me who has no, like I used to take pictures as a print journalist, but those typically were in black and white on a page. So it's been a struggle for me to learn, but a great skill set to have, and definitely vital to a product business.
Awesome. The reason Amazon did not work, was it because, of course, Amazon is a very different marketplace than Etsy, right? Amazon, people are looking for value. People are like
Yes.
mostly looking for lower cost item. They probably don't care that much about, the design aspect of things. And of course, there's so many choices on Amazon as well. You said, it was a learning experience for you. What happened on Amazon? What was your big learning for Amazon?
Yeah, so I love to do a lot of research before I dive into something. And so as I was trying to decide if Amazon was for me, I was looking up how much it costs, like what percentage of a product sale do they take? What percentage is typically for shipping, especially with this very lightweight product? I did all of that, and there's this well-known 3-3-3 rule where shipping costs, or Amazon takes basically a third. Your product manufacturing should cost about a third of what someone's paying, and then you take home a third. That's pretty standard.
Okay.
But my manufacturing costs are way lower than that. So I was able to kind of fluctuate a little bit. I got everything set up. I was all in for Prime. I think if you're going to go on Amazon, I personally avoid anything that's not Prime when I go on there. If I'm going on there, I want something fast. I live in a big city, so I can just get it next day or same day sometimes. I don't know how they do it, but I want to be on Prime if I do this. And so I did all of the metrics. I signed up, I got approved, I got my listing started, actually submitted my listing, and they were taking about 90% of the cost of the product, of what someone is paying for it.
Really? 90%?
90%.
So if your greeting card is $10, they're taking $9. That doesn't make any sense. Oh, because they're doing everything. They're doing customer service, they're doing fulfillment and everything. So you're basically kind of like, it's almost like a what is it called? Drop shipping kind of a model.
Yeah, but I'm still making everything, I'm still the maker. I still have all those costs. And I was ready to make in bulk and send them off. But at the end of the day, I didn't want to do this to make Amazon money.
Yeah.
That's what it would have been. It would have been me pretty much in the hole for it, and just making Amazon money. I don't think I have ever gone and bought something from someone's store that I've gotten from Amazon before. Like I haven't, whereas on Etsy I have done that. Like I just, this business exists on Amazon, and that is it. In my head, that's just what's there. And you can't discredit how other people use Amazon as well. And so I was not going to just make Amazon money. They didn't need my money. They didn't need that. So I took that experience. I actually made thousands and thousands of product prepared for this.
Wow.
And it's just something that was in the hole. I actually made a very specific set of products that were lower cost. Like I went down in quality and kind of printed on this. It's not cheap paper, but it's not my typical paper. So that it was lower cost for people. If that's what people want, they want bulk. They want to, like, I was making these big packs and everything like that. And I actually outsourced all of that. And I got someone, like I made a bunch, and then I had someone else help me make a bunch, and I was in the hole for all of that product. But I was able to flip it around and sell it on Etsy for what it was actually worth. And those are some of my best selling products at this moment. I have made so much more off of it than I would have if I just continued to sell on Amazon. I have paid it off. I was in the hole for a while, but once those listings picked up on Etsy, I like that. I'm sticking in my lane. If I don't need Amazon. They don't need me. But I know where to spend my time and my money and my resources. And that just wasn't one of them.
I am so surprised that Amazon would charge 90%. But if you had not gone with Prime, and you were doing some of these fulfillment and things like that yourself, then you probably would have made more money. But of course, you probably wouldn't have attracted as many customers because most people are looking for quick shipping and all those benefits that come with Prime. That's so interesting. Can you talk a little bit about your fulfillment and shipping? I mean, I know you are creating all the products yourself, so you probably have a really good control over inventory management. You're not creating large batches of products where, they're just sitting around. Do you charge your customers for shipping, or is that something that you kind of bake into your product pricing? And how do you ship it out? Do you use a special kind of shipping, like a 2-day, 3-day kind of a thing, or is that really just the United States Postal Service?
I love the USPS. I will forever use the United States Postal Service. Please go buy stamps if you're listening to this. Please go buy some stamps. I know unless you're in another country. You're in the US, please support. I do charge for shipping. So to put it into perspective, from US dollars perspective, my card costs $5.50, and shipping it costs in the US costs between $3.50 and $4.75 just for the cost for shipping. So it doesn't make sense for me to eat that cost. And it also doesn't make sense for me to charge $10 for a card. So I'm very transparent about it. I put it everywhere that I can. And I also have a free shipping threshold. So if you spend $35 with me or more, you get free shipping. And that is based off of my average order value, which is typically around $27. And which is pretty damn good for a greeting card shop, but I then bump it up for the free shipping threshold to $35. At this point, it doesn't make sense for me to ship things out for free. However, the only thing I do ship out for free is stickers. I always ship stickers out for free. I can put them in a little envelope. Internationally, it's only $3. It's super inexpensive to get a sticker, as it should be. Everyone should have 1 million stickers, so I make sure that that's free.
I was actually recently looking for a sticker for my suitcases when I travel. So I've been looking at it on Amazon, but I was looking for more like larger stickers so I can stick it on, because you always run into this challenge when the suitcase comes out of the airplane and it's like, is it my suitcase or not? There has to be a way to recognize it. So
yeah, stickers are great for that.
Yeah, but I'm assuming free shipping has this psychological effect. Like when I go to buy something from somewhere and it says minimum $35, there's the psychological effect. I never want to pay for shipping. So it's like, if I have to pay $6-7 for shipping, that's like waste cost for me. So I would much rather get something that I need, or upgrade it so that I don't have to pay for shipping. Like, do you see with this offer $35 that most people want to take advantage of it, or are there like a group of people who are okay with paying for shipping?
Honestly, it's hard to tell, because I get a ton of orders that are under that threshold, people paying the $5. I know it's a barrier. Amazon exists. Everyone expects free shipping everywhere, but we are still small businesses. We still we are much different than these big, huge companies that can eat that cost. So at the end of the day, I'm very transparent about it. Hey, I'm a small business. This is just the cost of it. I am not these big companies that can give you free shipping for even just like the tiniest thing. However, I do find that it does help with when people are trying to make that decision who hit that like $30 mark. Like they can just add another card and get free shipping instead of paying the $5 to get it shipped. So I definitely think it helps, but I do know that it is a big deterrent for a lot of people when shopping, and that's just something that the small business product community and all of us have to deal with. We always have to deal with the fact that we are going up against, and people have the mindset of these big, huge companies.
Yeah. Can you quickly talk about your email marketing? I know you said that you use email marketing as like another creative outlet. And of course, you have your audience on your website. So I'm assuming, email marketing works. Can you talk a little bit about, what your email marketing processes look like, and does it work for you? Like, does it convert?
My emails are my biggest conversion on my website.
Okay.
I love email one, so it makes it easy. But I have so many automations set up that the only thing I have to worry about are writing weekly emails that just are kind of like touch bases. Here's what's new, flash sales, stuff like that. So I have abandoned cart, I have abandoned like search, like people who they know on the like my email service provider knows their email address already and they're just searching on the site. It sends them an email with things that they were looking at.
Wow, okay.
I think it's called browse abandonment. I have a welcome series. I have a loyalty program. I'm trying to think of like all of it. There's just so much. I have a sticker club list. Like all of these things kind of work for me, and like it is my biggest income revenue driver that I have in my business as far as my website goes. Search is also really good. So just like organic search, but email is number one. It's fun. I love it.
Yeah, I think, if something works, then you definitely get to love it. Yeah, for sure. I'm assuming you don't do any paid, or do you play with some sort of Google or, social paid advertising at all?
I don't do any paid advertising. I have played with it in the past, as anyone who says they don't do paid advertising says. But it is something that I think thought about for the future. I don't think Facebook or Instagram, like the meta universe, I don't think that kind of paid advertising is in my future. However, I do really, really well with Google search, and I do really well in the Google shopping tab. So I have definitely played around with the idea of starting to advertise for the holidays, like not advertising for the holidays, but starting advertising in August and September to build up those advertisements that go through the holidays. I do think Google would work really well, but I'm kind of waiting because the way that AI and Google Bard is just changing how you look at a page. Like I'm just kind of holding off for that just to see what that does to even organic search, let alone paid search.
What about social? I do see that you do have a TikTok account and an Instagram account. Is that kind of just brand building mostly, or do you see any traction through those channels?
I see a lot of traction through those channels, which
Really?
is
Okay.
awesome. Yeah. So Instagram is my fourth biggest revenue driver on my website. And
Wow.
Facebook's it drags along a little bit, but I have some older audiences there who have been sending cards since they were young. Like this is one of my target markets that is completely separate from my core group, but they're just like 60 to 70 years old, and they send out cards like crazy everywhere. And I still stick to Facebook because they come through there. Facebook is more of a brand building, and I don't spend as much time there, but Instagram is the place that I'm at and the place that works best for me, especially since my products are just so visual. And I have all of these interests in my life: gardening, embroidery, reading, all of this stuff, and I get to share and connect with people who are very similar. And I find that when I'm sharing like that, when I am sharing more into my personal life and what it means to be a business owner that has a full-time job, that has all of these loves and dreams in the world, and they just connect. They know they know this person. It's not just a brand, it's a person at that point. And I think that's why Instagram does so well.
Awesome. Before I move on to the rapid fire segment, I asked this question to everyone. Every entrepreneur goes through a learning process. There's mistakes made, lessons learned, failures in the entrepreneurship process. What has been your, a biggest mistake? I know you talked about Amazon, but any other big failure that sticks out for you? What was your learning? What can other entrepreneurs learn from your mistakes?
Yeah, I think going full time when I wasn't ready is one of my biggest mistakes. I don't like calling it a mistake. We all fail. Like, if you're not failing, then you're not trying enough. Like, you're not trying enough things. Just keep trying everything. And so I don't like to necessarily call it a mistake because I've worked through that. But when I failed full time, like I said, I went into a deep burnout where I wasn't creating, I wasn't doing anything. And one of the greatest lessons I learned from that was that I need to take care of myself first. And so I found myself, not really, but like I took care of myself. I found new hobbies. I talked to mental health professionals. I got through it and learned the boundaries that I need to set every single day. I can see burnout coming from a mile away now. And when I do that, I know to shut down my computer. I know to tie up any loose ends and just take time off doing the things you love. I will do that with my full-time job too. I will say, I'm sorry. If it's burnout coming, I will say, hey, I need to take a couple days. Because your mental health, your physical well-being, you cannot run your business without it. Like, you just can't.
Yeah.
It should be top of the pyramid when it comes to what you need to be taking care of with your business. So I learned that the hard way, and I'm very, very grateful for it. And sometimes you have to learn things the hard way.
Definitely. I think you definitely have to prioritize your health, whether it's physical, mental, because without that, nothing's going to work. So it doesn't matter how much effort you want to put into something. If your health is not right, I think it's not going to work. Now I'm going to move on to our rapid fire segment. In this segment, I'm going to ask you a few quick questions, and you have to answer them maybe in a couple of words or a sentence or so. One book recommendation for entrepreneurs, and why?
It's going to be a little different. Atlas of the Heart by Brene Brown. She is excellent at teaching you how to communicate and how human emotion plays such huge roles in entrepreneurship. And I really believe that understanding the people around you is critical to your business.
For sure. An innovative product or idea in the current e-commerce, retail, or tech landscape that you feel excited about?
Okay, this one might be cheesy, but I love the creativity happening with AI right now. Like, being able to do keyword research, blog outlines, search creative subject lines, turning like your meetings and your podcasts into sound bites, photo editing. Like, it's crazy. And I'm so excited to see like how it continues to evolve.
Definitely. I've been hearing AI with so many people. Yeah, for sure. A business or productivity tool or software that you would recommend, or a productivity tip?
All right, we could have a whole other podcast on productivity. I love it. My tip is to make your to-do list every day very manageable. So literally sit down and write out the meetings you have, write out the breaks that you need, which should be second, and then find the pockets that you have and fill them in with tasks. Your to-do list should not be a mile long. And those type of to-do lists tend to burn you out. And then you have things on there that stay on there and don't matter anymore.
Yeah. I think the biggest mistake with productivity is like to put too much on your calendar. I think, a startup or business in e-commerce, retail, or tech that you think is currently doing great things.
I think Fair. I may get a lot of hate and love for this, but they have revolutionized how retail store owners can connect and buy from makers of every size. There used to be such a hard thing to get through or to find people, and it makes it easier for small makers and businesses to be found by shops. I think there's a lot of room for growth and learning for Fair, but it's an incredible resource right now for both parties.
I didn't ask you, is Fair working for you actually? Like, do you actually see some traction through there?
Fair is one of my biggest wholesale order drivers. Yeah, I do have people who still send me orders via like an order form, but most just want to go through Fair because they provide terms. They allow retail shops to pay like net 30 and net 60, where small shops cannot typically get that at all or give that kind of payment plan.
For sure. A peer entrepreneur or business person whom you look up to, or someone who inspires you?
Right now, my colleague, Nina Gibson, she's an SEO expert and she is changing the game. It is so cool to see what she's doing. She is all about no bull, whole lot of heart, and she's saying things that others refuse to say, that she's leading her business in the field with integrity. And it's really, really cool to see her and see how she's growing as well.
Awesome. Final question. Best business advice you ever received or you would give to other entrepreneurs?
Okay. I think it is, no one else is sitting there thinking, oh, how will I make Kayla's dreams come true today? How can I help her business? I say, put in the work, sell every single day in some capacity. I had a mentor who once gave me this analogy of being a retail brick and mortar shop. Someone walks into your store. What is their experience? Is everything merchandised and looking great? Are there price tags on your pieces? Is there someone there to greet them or help them check out? Is the door even unlocked and the lights on? A retail store owner is selling every single day, and that applies to every single business. Without the sign on the door, without the lights on, without you telling people you're there to help them, how will they know you exist?
Yeah. I think that's a great advice. I think, I see so many businesses who kind of don't do, I think, as much as they can in terms of selling. It's like there's sometimes I go into a place and I am looking to find some help and, nobody's there to help, or, they're not really helpful. And that's a big turn off, to be honest. And I think, no business can exist without selling. So I think that's an awesome advice. I think sales is business. So, well, those were all the questions that I had, Kayla. Thank you so much for joining today. Thank you for your time, for sharing your story. Very interesting story. If anybody wants to purchase your products, what is the best way they can do that?
Yeah, thank you for having me. People can find me at luckydogdesign.co, not .com, .co. And I'm on Instagram at Lucky Dog Mail Club. So I'd love to connect. If you have any more questions from this, I'm happy to answer. So please don't be shy.
Awesome. Well, Kayla, thank you so much again. Really appreciate your time today and wish you all the very best in your business. So thanks again and really appreciate you joining us today at TrepTalks.
Thank you.